everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post. I'm Drew Larison, and is with me, as always, because his name's in the title of the show, is Mayor Tyler Moore. Mayor, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing well.
Doing well?
MTM.
MTM.
Right?
That's,
MTM.
that's what we call you. You know, we're very busy around here at the Kokomo Post, and, you know, we try to save time as much as possible. So Mayor Tyler Moore takes a lot more time than just saying MTM.
Can be
but now, with the time that I've taken to explain that, I've wasted more time. But that's fine. So you're doing well this week. Thanks for coming back for another episode. This is episode 3 of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show, and we keep having fun with this. So it's great to have you back. Let's jump right into it today.
Let's do.
What's going on at City Hall this week? Anything fun?
City Hall this week. I had the pleasure of spending the morning outside of City Hall over at Kokomo High School. It was the final send-off of our Mayor's Youth Advisory student board members. And so what that is comprised of is a number of juniors and seniors at Kokomo High School that sign up and are assigned to non-for-profits or other public boards like Community Foundation, United Way, Buena Vista, even the Cemetery Board, Parks, and they each report, and the best report the last 2 times we've met has come from the Cemetery Board.
Love that.
I mean,
so what does
of
that
course
mean?
I pulled out the dad joke and said, "Why is everybody dying to come to the meetings?" But anyway, so the students are assigned to that. They then are contacted by the either organization director, the board president, whatever, notified of the meetings. They then attend the meetings, or are welcome to attend the meetings, which has been kind of a hybrid of things. A lot of it Zoom, starting to go in person.
Sure.
And they are then to provide ideas, resources from a young adult standpoint, and then anything that comes to mind or comes from that board, report back to the mayor. This was I caught the tail end of last year, so this is my first full year. Still a little odd, but came away with some really good ideas, because instead of them just reporting on what their board is, I said, okay, think tank. I said,
innovate.
Give me some ideas and thoughts. And one of the things that came out, because there's been a struggle trying to get kids to sign up, because we have so many students within the city limits that are now part of the Western school system and Taylor school system, that we're going to reach out to those schools as well and try to increase the numbers and work on diversity, not only in demographics, but obviously throughout the community. So,
is that one of your favorite things you've done?
It is.
You care about the youth. I've seen that in like what you do, and I love that too. You know, getting young minds in there, because a lot of times I think kids, and I call them kids, but high schoolers, they're not kids to me, right? They're like high schooler age. They have a lot of great ideas, but they're not encouraged to share those ideas, you know, because of their age. So that's great to see. I am very curious, what innovative ideas did high schoolers have for cemeteries?
Well, it wasn't that there was an innovative idea for cemetery. She was very complimentary on how engaged the board was, which is odd, because they approve the purchase and selling of plots and such. And they said it's usually like a 5 to 10 minute meeting, and then we sit around and talk for 20 minutes, and some of them drink coffee and such. And so I think the benefit that those students received was just that it wasn't as much what the cemetery board was doing, but that the adult members on those boards then got done with business and engaged with the students. I mean, some of the others, like, you know, we go to this board or that board, and we just sit there. The meeting's done, and they don't ask us for our input. They don't ask for any feedback and such, and so we're just kind of there. And so to hear both that and the Park Board of Trustees, so kudos to Tori Rowe, the park superintendent, who's over those boards, recognize that and engaging those kids. And some of the other boards and organizations have, but that's where the focus is going to be. I'll go to those organizations and say, hey, we've got an opportunity here to engage these young minds, take advantage of that, and then at the same time try to encourage.
So how does a student get involved in this advisory program that exists? Is that through their school? Is that them contacting City Hall? How does a kid maybe next year get involved with this?
Through the school. So again, we'll reach out to Western and Taylor, and so they'll be assigned a sponsor, a faculty member that will sponsor the organization, and then like sports call-outs and anything else, they'll put out an all-points bulletin to the student body saying, anybody interested in Mayor's Youth Advisory, sign up, or there's an informational meeting at 2:30 on Tuesday the 23rd, whatever, and get information and get folks signed up that way. So
very cool.
Watch for it next year, Kokomo, Western, and Taylor students.
Nice. So speaking of things going on at City Hall, next week's a big week in City Hall because you have a State of the City address.
I do have a State of the City address.
So how many of those have you done now?
This will be my second.
Your second? The first one went well?
First one went very well.
I'm guessing?
And obviously under the pandemic, did it via Zoom. Only had a few handful of people in there, and best laid plans. And those that know me, especially my family, know that I can plan and say, okay, well, yeah, I'll speak for maybe 30, 35 minutes or so. And I think I went about a full hour, and I kid you not, my daughter got up and walked out halfway through it. You couldn't see it on the camera, but she got up and she had plans with her friends. And she's like, okay, Dad, how long is this going to be? And I said, 35 minutes or so. She said, okay, great. Well, she had to leave at that time. And so in the middle of it, I mean, she kind of hopped and slid out the side door. Nobody saw that. I thought, man, that's something. Daughter was done with me. Dad, land the plane. If not, I'm out of here.
No, I get that. So, yeah, she's probably heard you do the speech in the shower, or around the house a few times as well. So, no, but any inside tips on what's going to be talked about for the State of the City address? What should we expect? There's probably some great things, some things the city's working on. Any insider tips on what we should expect?
So it'll be twofold. It'll be what we've done the past year and kind of bragging on some of our accomplishments and some of the things we've still been able to achieve despite the pandemic and social distancing and lumber shortage and asphalt shortage, whatever. But then also laying out a plan, kind of a program, if you will, that we hope the city will embrace based on initiatives making Kokomo safe, stable, and healthy. Okay. And I'll leave it at that.
That's all we get?
Safe, stable, and healthy.
Safe, stable, and healthy. Okay, I'll take
that. Stay tuned for more.
Yeah, so make sure, I'm guessing it'll still be on Facebook.
We'll still do Facebook Live. We're making it available for folks to come in. We'll do the best we can to social distance, but again, if people are vaccinated, they'll be encouraged for masks, won't necessarily be required to.
Sure.
But yeah, hopefully it'll be good.
Do you enjoy those?
I do. Probably more so than the staff that assists me with them, because they're
yeah. How much work goes into one?
They're used to seeing something written up and then massaging it 2, 3, 4, 5 times or whatever. And I'm more of an off the cuff kind of guy that if I have something written,
it's this show,
I stumble or I try to read something and engaged, and then I lose my spot and then I'm all nervous. So bullet points are usually better, but
sure.
I know that drives the newspapers crazy because they want to see it and be able to pull out excerpts and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I do enjoy it, mainly just like I said, to kind of brag about what we've done, and I say we, meaning collectively. I mean, we've got some amazing people in each of the city departments and outside of city government, just what we have as a community has done for the year. So the state of the city isn't so much, hey, this is what city government is and what we're doing and where we're headed, but kudos to the community for what we've done, endured, maintained, and where we're headed.
Gotcha. So, I mean, how long have you guys been working on this speech? Is this something that gets done in around a week, or is it slowly you're working on through this for a month and just little by little, you put it together?
We sat down for a month ago and said, okay, what do we want to try and highlight and some things, and then disperse, to gather information. Okay, how many miles of road and streets have we paved? Just bits and pieces there, and then get that information collected. Say, okay, yeah, we've got all this, and we don't want you to speak for another hour, Mayor. So let's kind of weed out some of the highlights and such, and so massage it a little bit. Put a little excerpts or drafts together and morph them. And so we'll spend some time a little more this week to start compiling some more of those thoughts. And then they turn it over to me, and I
love that.
Show up 5 minutes before with a final version, and it gets them all worried and wondering what I'm going to say. But so yeah, it'll be good.
Can we guarantee there probably will be some dad jokes?
I can almost guarantee. Yeah, they keep saying, as much as I love Star Wars, to keep throwing some Star Wars references in there.
So I mean, if municipality conversations bore you, we can guarantee you there will be some entertainment.
Yes.
If MTM's there's going to be some dad jokes. There's going to be some Star Wars references. It's just going to happen naturally.
Because I mean, it was funny. I was finishing up that afternoon and I'm like, gosh, it feels like, because we're talking about some of the things we've been doing, and I went, man, what? I mean, it seems like I'm forgetting something, and I can't think of it. And I turned and looked out my window, and the second parking garage was being completed.
Right
and
there.
I kid you not, there was a porta pot that was being being taken up to the upper level, and it came swinging past my window, and I went, duh, the parking garage. So I even mentioned that in last year's State of the City. I said I was trying to figure out something else, and I kid you not, a porta pot came swinging by my window.
There's your
and
sign.
Parking garage. Yep. So
I love that. So we're looking forward to that. So you guys can probably watch that on Facebook, on the City Hall's Facebook page.
June 2nd. Yep.
We'll probably share that stream as well.
Thank you.
We'll put that out there so people can get access to it. And if they have any questions, hopefully they're answered in that speech. But safe, stable and healthy.
Yep.
Those are going to be the two or the three. It's like a classic sermon in church. There's always 3 points, right? So we have safe, stable, and healthy to look forward to.
And obviously, hopefully, if things go well, we'll be taping episode 4 the day before. So there may even be some more spoilers.
Tune in next week. We'll have some even more insider tips. No, that'd be great. So looking forward to that. Over the weekend, if you're watching this and you say, Drew, you look extremely red this week for some reason, it's because summer is kind of here. And
it is here.
Got very cocky last weekend and didn't think I needed sunscreen, and turns out I did. But summer is here in my eyes. My kid, this is her last week at school this week. So if summer vacation, summer break is officially starting. And we posted something on the Kokomo Post Facebook page yesterday, and I thought it would be a fun little game to play with you too. So it's basically, I want to know, what is a summer for MTM like? You know, what do you love about summer in Kokomo? And, you know, we'll talk about it more, but the challenge I want to give you, we had 4 things, and you've probably seen these memes. We put them on Facebook quite a bit, but the rest of the world does as well. Where like we give you 4 options, but you can only pick one of those options. And sometimes it's very difficult. But what do we have? We had Kokomo Beach, we had Coco Go, we had City Adventure Park, or we had the Riverwalk concert series that happens in Kokomo. If you could only pick one of those things, and all of those are great things, and no, you can't just pick Coco Go because the city runs it. That's cheating. You have to pick what you would actually think.
That's the beach, too.
Yeah, you're right. But yes, we have Kokomo Beach, Riverwalk concert series, Coco Go, or City at First Venture Park. You can only pick one, Mr. Mayor. If you had to do just one of those things this summer in Kokomo, which one would it be?
Is City Adventure Park limited just to that? But because obviously Scoops is right across the street. Yep,
it's just the go-karts, the arcade, the batting cages, all the adventures within that property.
So just there, so I can't.
Good question though. It does change the answer
because you can't engage in summer activity without then a nice sweet treat from Scoops, Cone Palace, Frozen Custard. Crazy J's. I mean, just go down the list.
We'll talk about Crazy J's in a minute.
I know it may sound like I'm impartial, but I'm going to have to go with Kokomo Beach.
Kokomo Beach.
I mean, I've been a water slide guy my whole life, and then to have that at home, and I mean the fun little new water
the
play
addition
area.
They got put on.
There's
a lazy river.
The lazy river.
Who doesn't love a lazy river?
I know.
People don't know. I mean, like, lazy rivers are one of the greatest things, and we have one in Kokomo. I mean, it's nuts. I remember we posted a lot about Kokomo Beach last summer on the Kokomo Post, and no lie, we were getting people to say, wait, that's in Kokomo?
Yeah.
And it will always blow my mind, you know, like, Kokomo classics that have existed in Kokomo for forever. They're a staple. They're an icon, and people still don't know they exist. I heard somebody say, and you won't believe me on this, but it's true. I heard somebody say not too long ago, "What's Martino's?"
Really?
They didn't know that Martino's exist.
Oh my gosh, I was just there last night.
No, it's crazy. So I mean, these things can exist in Kokomo for forever, like a Kokomo Beach,
right?
And you know, people don't know they exist,
right?
So
okay,
all right, so you're Kokomo Beach.
I'm gonna go Kokomo Beach. So turnabout is fair play. Same 4 options.
I think, and it would.
Although you've got younger ones, and so I can see
that changes
either the
things.
beach or the adventure park.
Well, honestly, I enjoyed something a lot last year, and it was a new thing last year, and I'm looking forward to it this year because I think it's growing in a big way, and it's going to become a lot better. And we talked about him a few episodes ago, but Kyle Gibson from the Coterie, he started this awesome little thing called the Riverwalk Concert Series. And if you didn't get to go to one of those last year, you missed out. It's such a cool atmosphere, such a cool vibe down there, and the music acts are extremely talented.
Yeah,
and I can't
surprisingly
stress that
talented.
enough.
Yeah, I mean it's the
nuts.
same groups or musicians that come and performed at the Coterie as well, time and time again. So
yeah, and like they hired
wonderful
a
addition.
Professional production company to run every one of these this year. They're really investing in this, and it's such a cool thing. We talk a lot about like the live music at the Coterie because once again, people not knowing about Martino's, people also don't know that there's great live music that happens in Kokomo every single week. And shout out to Bree Bragg from our show. We started a new show called The Local Buzz, where the whole goal of that show is to bust the myth that there's anything cool going on in Kokomo. And that's such a lie. It's honestly one of the reasons the Kokomo Post exists. And, you know, with that show, Local Buzz, which you can catch that. I think it's going to be coming out on Fridays now. Thanks to our partners over at Black Wax Cafe for partnering up with that, which if you haven't been there, you have to. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah. So anybody that shows up anywhere on Monday in a conversation and says, man, I really didn't have anything to do over the weekend, they just weren't trying.
They weren't trying.
They weren't
or
looking hard
they're
enough.
looking for an excuse. But I mean, that Riverwalk concert series.
Love it.
Do not miss that this year. It's extremely great music. It's family friendly. My kids came. They loved it. They loved the music last year, and they were going to have it this year too. There were like awesome light show.
Right.
And if you don't know where it is, it's right behind Fox's Trail. The city has built like a tiny amphitheater-ish type of area. So like you have these giant laser light show type of things happening. And they reflect off the trees. They reflect off the water that's down there. It's such a cool atmosphere, and I'm really looking forward to that again this year. So no offense to all the other things, but that easily would be my choice. But I mean, so
good deal.
What does your family do in the summer that are like, you know, it's not a Kokomo summer without doing these things?
The kids are starting to, I mean, kind of have mixed emotions on it, but I always drag them one of the weekends canoeing.
Oh, nice.
So usually around Father's Day, it's like, hey, Father's Day, what do you want to do?
Guilt them into it.
Canoeing. Yeah. And just depending on the weather and depending on who might be around and depending on if so-and-so eats something before we go, whatever, it can either be relaxing or it can be a chore.
I get that.
You know, the whole, are you guys going to do the 3 to 4 hour float? And if they get going, it turns into like an hour and 45-minute quest. Yeah. So I get that. So that's one of the nice things my family engages or allows me to drag them to. I always enjoys things outdoors. We mentioned Kokomo Beach. Try to get there when we can, and having younger nieces and nephews now have more reason to go.
Sure.
And
now I'm thinking of another one of those challenge graphics. You could only pick one. All the great things that happen at Kokomo Beach. If you could only pick one, is it the giant water slide? Is it the lazy river? Is it the whatever, all the things? If you could only pick, now that's a challenge for the internet. Some people get mad at us about those things, by the way. Like they're yelling in the comments,
just one.
You can't tell me to just pick one. And I'm like, well, it's just a game, so calm down. But I mean, we really challenge people with those things. Yeah, but canoeing, I saw some people yesterday, they were out in a kayak, like going down the river, the floating and doing all the tubing down the river. I've never personally done that, but I know a lot of people do love that. Awesome. So that's what an MTM summer looks like. You would pick, you said Kokomo Beach, right?
Kokomo Beach, yep. Trying to get out and play some golf every once in a while as well. I mean, I'm not good at it at all.
You're better than I.
Try to get that in. And we've tried to sneak away for a long weekend, you know, somewhere nice as well if we can work it in. But now with college kids and home working and such, so, you know, sometimes it's just a Saturday or Sunday afternoon on a river somewhere.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to summer. I love summer in Kokomo. All the music, all the festivals. Freaking Jackrabbits are back. I'm so excited about
June
that.
June 2nd, I think, right? Is that their home opener?
I think they just started selling single game tickets, or today or yesterday. I think they started tomorrow or someday this week. I promise you'll be able to buy those tickets. But looking forward to that because we didn't have it last year. Awesome. So that's what summer is looking like. Next segment I want to go into, which is something we do every week, and we've got some good ones this week. It is Ask the Mayor. Ask MTM some questions. We got some questions on our Facebook page.
Cool.
And let's start it off, because what is a Ask the Mayor segment in the Midwest if there isn't a question about roads? So let's get started with one of those. It is construction season. It is. Happy construction season. All right. This one is from Sue Jessup on our Facebook page. She writes in, Webster Street from Park Road to Boulevard and Hoffer Street, she put a lot in there, have both needed to be repaved for a very long time. Wondering if either one is on the calendar. Sue Jessup on Facebook.
They are in plans on the calendar. Not yet this year, but I know last time we mentioned that an assessment is done of all the streets and roads in Kokomo and when they've been tended to last or resurfaced. Also the traffic counts and such to see which ones need the most attention. And I get that sometimes they're like, oh, they just did this not too long ago. Why are they doing, Dixon Road again, when Hoffer or Webster or something.
Everyone becomes a road expert on Facebook really quickly.
They are on the list. Don't know if it's next year or the year after, but we're definitely going to address, because I know the previous administration had already started plans on Hoffer Street from home to 931 after the Humane Society went in and that got narrowed. We may address that intersection first, because that's another one of those where if you're turning left either direction, you kind of get caught. So we're probably going to look at that as well. But yeah, Hoffer, we're not going to narrow it. We're not going to throw any the medians down the middle or bump outs and such, but give it some love soon.
Okay, gotcha. The next question, and this question is really interesting to me. I've talked to previous mayors and people that worked at City Hall in the past, and they enlighten me, and we get questions like this too, where people will call City Hall and ask questions like, hey, is Lowe's hiring? Or just very off the wall, why would you be calling City Hall to ask these questions? And this question kind of fits in that category. This is from Drinda L. Copeland Myers on Facebook. And she asks, can you look into getting the ice cream shop on Superior opened and maybe working to get the Hong Kong restaurant to come downtown? And then she also says, how about having the Haynes Apperson Festival downtown again instead of the park? So once again, I don't think ice cream shop opening and closings fits into the scope of work of a mayor, but
they can be encouraged though.
Sure,
they can be encouraged. So hopefully the gentleman, I think we kind of threw it out there, if she's talking about Superior, it's probably Crazy J's.
Yes, and, Crazy J's.
And I know there's been some concern with some of the residents and business owners through there the narrowing of that little intersection has caused some issues and some development and such. So I have not spoken to that ice cream store owner, but it is my assumption is that he will open back up for the season. There was talk that he wasn't, talk that he was. I see him milling around, so not sure if
and I'll be honest, sometimes these Facebook comments, they could be open right now. I guess I should have looked that up before I asked the question. They could be open, and maybe she just drove by out of hours of when it was.
So and then Hong Kong buffet. We're always looking for businesses to consider the downtown area. One of the Chinese restaurants was downtown for a while, and
that's where Cook's
now Cook's McDougal's is. Right. So to encourage them to come back down, I guess we can throw out some feelers and see if there's some open space available.
There's a wide variety of restaurants downtown now.
It could be a nice, healthy
There
mix.
are no Asian restaurants downtown. There's no Asian food downtown. So, Brenda, I actually agree with you. Maybe not Hong Kong, but it would be nice to have like a really cool sushi place, downtown or something like that.
Yeah, maybe the closest one downtown is just, sushi-wise, is out west. Yeah,
on Webster Park, is that what it's called?
Good call. Yeah. We're working on it.
Yeah, awesome.
There's space available.
So appreciate that. And then also, which I think probably this gets asked many times a year ever since they did move it, but moving the Haynes Apperson Festival back downtown, I'm guessing on the square is where she's referring, instead of the park.
Yes.
We could call in Commissioner Wyman real quick and get his opinion on that, because I know he's very active in Haynes-Apperson. Maybe we'll do that one day. That'd be funny, actually. A call with Paul, we'll call it. But I mean, any comments on that?
Yeah. Well, that's been an ongoing discussion year after year, because yes, it was wonderful having it downtown. You had to navigate, especially if you're bringing carnival rides in and such. And so some of the open space that was available for those rides and some of the food vendors is now gone because of the parking garages.
Sure.
And so the space there is limited, that if there was an aspect of the Haynes-Apperson downtown, there would still need to be, I believe, the carnivals and some of that offering at the park. I know the city's investment in the pavilion, it was key for the music part of it as well.
It's a great thing for it too.
A lot of the businesses around the square had concerns in the past that some of the food vendors were dumping trash, cooking grease, stuff and such, in front, and folks milling in and out of their establishments, not purchasing, but just needing bathrooms and such. I mean, so there were concerns with some of the downtown businesses. So to say that it will never work its way back downtown, never say never. But with the mitigation work that's been done to keep Foster Park from flooding as much as it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there's it just seems like a better opportunity to have it in a city park as opposed to on the square. But if they're wanting an event back on the square in August, the Gus Macker is back. The Macker is back.
Nice.
So that'll be back on the square. I know they brought it to town last year, and it was off the beaten path there on the north side at Main and Mulberry, but we're bringing it back to the square, so that'll be
love that. I played in that as a kid. Very cool. Yeah, and it's just I want to cover if there's any future questions similar to this one. The mayor has no control over when the McRib is served at McDonald's either.
Man,
so before we maybe get that
it.
Question typed in on Facebook, you have no control over that either.
I have no control, but I constantly watch for the McRib.
That's a fun fact. I've actually never tried a McRib, and I get crap about that all the time, but I've never had a McRib.
Well, that needs to be one of the Kokomo Post tries next one of these times when it comes back to McDonald's McRib.
Wow, maybe a mini tries. We'll see. Yeah, I've never tried one. I'm weirded out by the
local restaurants are more fun, but yeah.
I'll wait for a local restaurant to come up with a McRib. Looking at you, Hog Heaven, and Farm to Fork, all the great barbecue places in town. Awesome. Last quick question, which this is kind of crazy to me too. Going back to it, I'm always shocked about how people don't know certain things that have happened a lot in Kokomo. But Trisha Norfleet asked, I'm interested in his career history. How did he end up as mayor? Has he always wanted to be mayor? So that was Trisha Norfleet from Facebook as well. So, I mean, cool. I don't know. I've known you for a long time. So, I mean, if you don't know, you were a public servant for the county.
I was a county commissioner for 11 years. So actually, I guess the interest in government work and public service kind of that seed got planted in high school in my government classes. I was very interested in that. Again, went to college, lived up in the South Bend and Elkhart area for a while. When I moved back to town, thought, okay, I'm home. I want more involved, engaged, and that opportunity. And I know we talked about Kokomo Beach. My first public assignment, if you will, was by Mayor Troball, and I was put on the advisory committee for Kokomo Beach. And so they were looking at the seashore at the time, and holy cow, that needed some serious love. And so I was on that. That was back when Representative Mike Karakoff was still park superintendent.
Wow.
So I got involved with that, hopped to Planning Commission, to the Alcohol and Beverage Commission, and then had the opportunity to run for commissioner. Paul Raver at the time was commissioner and had decided not to run any longer, and so was fortunate to have the opportunity to fill his shoes. And 11 years of being the District 2 commissioner, because there's again 3 commissioners and the county's divided into 3 sections. It's 931 separated in half, but then the city of Kokomo pretty much is the donut hole, and that's District 2. So you have to reside in the districts that you represent, and just for a year saying, hey, you're the commissioner of District 2, can you do this? Nope, that's the city. Hey, can you help us out with this? Nope, that's the city. That I thought, well, now maybe is the time to have a little more direct impact on the folks in District 2 in the city. And decided to throw my hat in to run for mayor.
And then the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
And now there's an MTM show on the Kokomo Post. So there you go. Awesome. So thank you for those questions, people that watch the show.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep writing those. We put out something every, I think like Tuesday or Monday night, reminding people that we film on Tuesday. So if they have any questions, so I mean, you could start asking those people too if you want on your Facebook page and everything like that. But thank you for writing in those questions. We love getting those questions. We like to end the show with on a light note, and it's movies with the mayor is what we're calling it. And I'll be honest, MTM, you could not have given me two opposite of movies to watch. First one was Mr. Mom, an 80s comedic classic. But then this week you gave me Hidden Figures, which was such a fantastic movie. Yeah. I rented it on iTunes and I noticed it had a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm like, oh, like this is going to be a great movie. And I watched it. I loved it. Such a good movie. If you guys don't
acting,
know,
but I mean the coolest part of that is that it's based on a true story.
Yes.
And
that makes it so much better.
I'm sure, as we mentioned before the show, that things might be a little exaggerated, you know, because of Hollywood or the way those three women and their counterparts were treated
was probably worse.
Was probably worse than what the movie portrayed as well.
Yeah.
But just to see, you know, the influence on the NASA program.
It was such a fascinating movie. I guess people, every time I've said this morning, they've laughed, but it's real. You know, one of my favorite movies in the world ever is Remember the Titans. You know, and it's, you know, similar time when Remember the Titans was, you know, filmed, and that was also a true story, also made by Disney. But basically, Hidden Figures was a movie about these three black women in 1961 who have excelled in academics their entire life in the mathematic world. They were just, you know, you probably know somebody that math is just something that came supernatural to them. They love numbers. That's how their brain works. And that's how these three, you know, black women were wired basically. And they excelled extremely well. They went to colleges. They were the first black women to ever go to certain colleges and graduate with certain degrees in their time. But they just excelled in the mathematic world. And then they somehow ended up at NASA.
Yes.
Through all their collegiate success and just brilliance that they had, they ended up at NASA. And basically it was crazy to me because they were called computers. Right. Their job title was literally, you are a computer. Because, I mean, at one point in the movie, you literally see them bring in the first IBM computer. I was
going to say, that was the time.
And then,
and NASA, you know, puffed chest and everything. Oh, we've gotten in the computer. Yeah, was a warehouse room full. I mean, back, you know, then, but yeah, for them to rely on that and then have the numbers be skewed or something, and then go back to the
But it basically tells the story. And what really was fascinating to me, I was talking to Aaron about this morning. It really opened my eyes, you know, because 1961. In my head, it's a long time ago, but for the history of our country, it really wasn't that long ago. And we're talking about times where segregation was happening with not just schools that everybody's heard about. NASA had different bathrooms for people of color compared to white people. And that was all happening at one of the most advanced and progressive corporations in the world. And so these women not only had to fight, you know, what was going on because of race, but they were also women.
Right.
So they had two barriers of entry that they had to deal with, and they did it with such class. They did it with such grace. They did it with such excellence and just brilliance. And it turns out it all worked out. And every, you know, main character in the movie ended up being one of the most, you know, influential people NASA has ever seen. But it kept me, I heard this a while back, and this movie is such a great example of it. Some of us, and this is, I mean, I'm a white male. I have so much privilege that I will never understand fully. But some of us are born on first base. Some of us are born still in the parking lot of the stadium. And like that movie really showed that point to me, that just because of who I am and what color my skin is, I have such a leg up on people that just because of their color of their skin, they don't have the privileges that I've had in my life. And that movie really pointed that out. And like I said, not just the color of my skin, they were also dealing with so much gender stereotypes and, whole misogynistic horribleness that happened in the 60s, and to see how they handled it. And like you said, it's a true story. They handled it with such grace. They did never got angry. They never got,
there was frustration.
There was frustration,
but rightly so.
Valid.
I mean, justified. Yeah,
valid frustration. But I don't know. I loved it. It was such a fantastic movie.
Well,
I want my kids to watch it. I want everyone to see this movie, and I'm that big of a fan of it.
And there was one line in there, and again, being Hollywood, it might have been glorified. That I think it was Octavia Bennett. She wanted in the conference room to discuss the mission, and they said, "Oh, there's no protocol for women in let alone
a black woman."
Yeah, and she said, "Well, there's no protocol for a man circling the earth either."
Yeah, like, such a great line.
Yeah, so
and that was kind of the motto of the whole movie is like NASA at this time, and it was cool to see because this movie really did have a little bit of everything. There was action, there was love, there was drama, there was social justice that was being talked about. But that was kind of the whole model of the movie is these women who were being told you can't do that simply because of who you are. But then at the same time, they work for an organization that's trying to do something that's never been done before as well. And, because other characters had those moments too, where I forget her character's name, but she was trying to become an engineer at NASA. And there was a moment people were telling, well, you're a black woman, you can't be an engineer at NASA. And she had that same, clapback. It's like, there's also never been a man on the moon, and look what we're trying to do. But then she had to go to get extra schooling, and like the judge let her go into a segregated school only at night classes to get the education she needed to become an engineer. But that whole motto was just there, and it was Disney just does it right.
Yep.
Such a good movie. Yep. Something I want to see over. I want my kids to see.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people might say, I don't want my kids to see movies like that to show what it used to be like. But I really look at it. They need to. They need to see how horrible certain people were, whether it's the same, color skin of people that I am. They need to see how horrible it was and how ridiculous it was to show how far we've come. Because that's the thing. I was watching this. I'm like, man, there are still places in this country where this is real for some people. But anyway, you could not have given me two opposite of movies
of the spectrum
to start, our MTM mayor movies with the mayor. So, but it was a fantastic movie. It's available on iTunes. You can rent it in a lot of places. Watch it with your family. Let it be a teaching moment for like how far we've come as a country, but also how much work we still have to do when it comes to racial injustice and social justice. And honestly, the male and female aspect of it as well. I was watching that and constantly thinking of my daughter, and I'm like, I hope she grows up and never has to have a thought in her brain where like, I can't do that because I'm a woman. I hope that never happens. And I'll keep trying to fight for a world where that won't be the case. But thank you for suggesting that movie.
Good deal.
Highly recommend. We might start getting a rating system going where I'll say like, because that one's easily in the 8s or 9s to me. I would agree with Rotten Tomatoes. That was a fantastic movie. So thanks for watching that. Awesome. So what will be movie for next week? Give me another movie. I'm enjoying this, by the way.
Do I go to the opposite, back to the opposite
end
of the spectrum?
It's your choice.
Because I was torn between, because we're approaching Memorial Day weekend.
Sure.
So do I do, a good war movie, where, there's sacrifice and valor and everything, or because we're in Indiana, we got the Indianapolis 500. Do I do a racing movie?
I'm down for either of them. I tell you what, I'm enjoying most about this is I am a dad of a 7 and a 5-year-old, and it's rare I get to watch a movie that I actually want to watch these days. It's mostly like Trolls on Netflix or something like that. So I'm down for any.
There's a ladybug now too, isn't there?
There's so many bugs. I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah.
So yes. So unless depending on. Because it is Memorial Day weekend and you've got time to binge. Do I throw out both of them or just do one?
I don't have a lot of time extra in my life, so we'll stick with one. But
okay, well I'll throw them both out and then we can maybe decide.
Okay.
So Memorial Day.
Dang it, I'm going to have to watch both. Challenge me in that way. I'm going to have to watch both.
Then do I hold on? Do I hold on to one then?
Go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
Because the Memorial Day, the valor and everything. Hacksaw Ridge. Mel Gibson's
Haven't seen
most
it.
recent war movie, again based on a true story about a gentleman who's not enlisted, but what's
Drafted?
that? Drafted. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Drafted. He's his religious beliefs prevent him from engaging in violence, carrying a gun, and such.
Interesting.
And so he's drugged to the front lines, and just his.
What war was this, or what war is
World
this?
War II.
It's World War II.
I believe
Okay.
World War II. But I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
But just
gotcha. Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge by Mel Gibson. It's only been maybe 5 or 6 years, if that.
Okay, gotcha.
But the other one I was tossing around, and I get the Indy 500 is the IndyCar, / Formula One, but I was going to go with Stroker Ace with Burt Reynolds, just because Jim Neighbors is in it, and Jim Neighbors for years sang Back Home in Indiana at the Indy 500, and
That's the most Hoosier choice of a movies with
talk
the mayor
about
right
two
there.
ends of the spectrum. I mean, Hacksaw Ridge is not one to watch with the kids. Stroker Ace is probably, I mean, obviously Burt Reynolds, you got to be careful, but
That Burt can be a little risque.
so I don't know. I mean, if it's something that opportunity to watch a movie that you can't when you're with your kids, do Hacksaw Ridge.
All right. Well,
Another
we'll
good
see.
feel good.
Our office is closed on Monday next week, so I do maybe have some extra time. I could maybe watch 2 movies, so we'll see.
And that one will probably be easier to get than Stroker Ace. I know we had a struggle with Mr.
I've
Mom,
been surprised with iTunes and what they have available.
well,
They've
good.
got a pretty big library out there, and I can just watch it on my phone, so I can escape the kids for a bit. Awesome. So I'll watch those movies.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Looking forward to it. But thank you for watching this episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show with the Kokomo Post. See you guys next week.
Thanks all.